So you gotta ask yourself, when a billionaire investor, one who's famous for making these legendary against-the-grain calls, decides to bet against the entire market, you pay attention. Today, we're gonna break down David Einhorn's massive bet and get into why he thinks gold is the only place to be right now.
And boom, right out of the gate, here's the quote that's shaking things up. You've got the whole market cautiously penciling in maybe a couple of interest rate cuts from the Fed, and then Einhorn just comes out with this. It's a hugely provocative claim, and it really sets the stage for what's happening.
And this is the guy making that massive call, David Einhorn. He's the founder of Greenlight Capital, a huge name in the hedge fund world. And, well, he's got a history of seeing things that everybody else seems to miss.
So why should we take this call so seriously? I mean, what makes this more than just another prediction? Well, it's because Einhorn has a pretty incredible track record of being right when the stakes are at their absolute highest.
And this is why people listen. We're talking about the guy who famously and very publicly bet against Lehman Brothers just months before it completely imploded in 2008. He saw the cracks in the foundation when pretty much no one else did. That's the kind of foresight he's known for.
Okay, so he's got the track record. But what about this call? What's he seeing now? It all comes down to how you read the Federal Reserve. And right now, Einhorn is reading a completely different book than the rest of the market. And you can see that divide right here, plain as day. On one side, you have the market consensus, pricing in just a couple of small rate cuts. And on the other side, you have Einhorn, who just says, nope, it's going to be substantially more. He's not just disagreeing a little bit, he's playing a totally different game.
So how does he get to that conclusion? Well, for starters, he thinks everyone is looking at the economic data all wrong. A strong jobs report comes out, and the market thinks, great, the economy's strong, the Fed will hold off on cuts. Einhorn looks at that exact same data and basically says, you're all misreading the signs.
But here's where his theory gets really specific. It all hinges on who's sitting in the Fed chair's seat. He's predicting a new chair, Kevin Warsh, will be the one to watch. And he thinks Warsh will argue for cuts not because the economy is weak, but because it's getting more productive. He'll push for them even if the economy is running hot, which is a radical departure from how the Fed normally operates.
And this all leads us to the climax of the story. A belief is one thing, but Einhorn is putting his money, a lot of money, where his mouth is. And that brings us to the big bet on gold.
So let's just pause here for a second. Put yourself in his shoes. If you are absolutely convinced that interest rates are about to get slashed way more than anyone expects, how do you play it? What's the move? Well, this is the move, gold. And it makes perfect sense when you think about it, right? When interest rates fall, holding cash or bonds suddenly doesn't pay you as much. So gold, which doesn't pay any interest, starts to look a whole lot more attractive. And as you can see from this chart, the move has already been absolutely explosive.
I mean, just look at these numbers. It's staggering. We're talking a surge of over 60% in a single year. And if you zoom out just a bit, that number jumps to over 120% since 2024, which brings the price to an incredible $5,100 an ounce. Just wow.
Okay, so why gold specifically? Well, Einhorn lays out a few key reasons. First, it's the classic shield against inflation. We all get that. But it's more than that. He sees it becoming the new go-to reserve asset for central banks all over the world. Why? Because with US policy being so unpredictable, he thinks other countries are getting nervous about holding dollars. And his last point is pretty blunt. He just thinks US financial policies don't make any sense right now.
And this is where you realize this isn't just a clever trade on interest rates. This is something much, much bigger. He's essentially betting that there is a fundamental crack in the entire global financial system.
And this quote right here is so important because it shows this isn't just some anti-dollar bet. Einhorn thinks that all the other major currencies are just as bad or even worse. So, if the dollar is shaky, and the euro is shaky, and the yen is shaky, where do you go? Where's the safe harbor? And that leaves us with the final huge question that his entire thesis rests on. In a world where financial policies seem unstable and all the major currencies are strained, what does a truly safe investment even look like anymore? For David Einhorn, the answer is yellow, it's shiny, and it's been trusted for thousands of years.